Welcome, Jill. It's a pleasure to have you here. We're going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, sleep, and how foundational it is. And I think people are, especially women our age, are coming to terms that sleep is so foundational. It really sets you up for everything else during your day. But it's always great to do a deep dive into this topic and keep it at the forefront, because even though we can talk about it and we can say how important it is, that doesn't mean everybody has great sleep. So I'm always excited to bring sleep experts on. So welcome. If you would start by telling us who you are, a little bit about your company. It's called the Inactive Company, and how you got so interested in the topic of sleep and helping women through kind of this transitional phase where we can see sleep kind of start to tank on us.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. I am very passionate about sleep. It's one of my favorite activities when I can do it well. I am the co-founder of the Inactive Company. My business partner she'll be joining us in a little while, Lori Oliver. We actually met when we were serving on the leadership team at Spanx. So both of us have fairly, I would say, long careers in consumer brands. So, everything from Starbucks to Coca-Cola, Home Depot, you name it, we've done it and we've helped to build it. While we were traveling around the world and building brands, we always used to commiserate. We're fitness buffs and we have between us with different partners, a baseball team of kids of all ages, super active. We would always complain about sleep and say, "Oh, wouldn't it be great?" And you know what? We're the kind of gals that try everything. So, we've done melatonin, we've tried gummies, we've done bought the super expensive mattresses and pillows. And we're like, wouldn't it be amazing if there were a simple solution? Then we both left Spanx around the same time and started consulting for other companies. I have my own consulting business. She was working with startups. And she called me about 3 years later and said, "I've got it. I actually have it. We're going to reinvent the sleep mask. It's a 100-year-old product. And, we know how to do this from working for other countries. We know how to re-engineer. We know what needs to be done." And so we really started digging into with other partners what the needs were for sleep. Because we're like, surely there are other women out there like us who are super busy, who are starting to have issues with sleep if they haven't already. Some people always have issues. Some people are starting to have issues. And what would that look like? And that was the beginning of our journey together.
Awesome. Yeah. So you sent me a sleep mask a few weeks ago. And my son and I, my youngest, just the two of us, we're just in Florida last week for his volleyball competition. And I took two sleep masks because I always travel with one, because you just don't know. You have a rental, you don't know how much light is going to be filtering in. Sunrise is different depending on where you're traveling. Actually, the sun is rising much earlier here in Wisconsin right now than it was in Florida, but I always take one with me because I've learned the hard way before. I had sleep masks and I would go and I would just be like, oh, this city light or this light from outside is blaring in my eyes. And even though there's a blind, it's not like what I'm used to at home. Like I have out curtains and I have
Yes.
my little sleep cocoon. And so I took two sleep masks and I took yours. And Sam is my youngest. And he's like, "Mom, I need a sleep mask. Like it's too bright in my room." And I said, "Well, this one I just got." He's like, "Give me that one." And he wouldn't give it back. Like I have another very nice sleep mask from another reputable company as well. And he's like, "Nope, I like this one." So we'll talk more about your sleep mask in a few minutes, but yes, like he very much loved it and wouldn't give it back. But so let's talk about this, because it's interesting how you said, like, you and Lori, and hopefully Lori will be joining us. And if not, we'll have a great conversation. But you said how you had tried like melatonin and you'd tried the gummies. And I know, like, we've discussed this a little bit on the podcast before, like these things are very, very common with not only women, but with children. And like children are just not set up for good foundational sleep, fall asleep, stay asleep. They're on screens. They have TVs or video games or whatever, phones in their room. Like, and as a parent, like you have kids who are similar ages as I do. It's like,
Yes.
we just assume they're going to the room, going to bed. And even though my kids could never take their phones in their rooms after 10 o'clock, like you still don't know, like, do they get up after after I'm asleep? But I've heard differing things about melatonin, especially that we're taking it orally or as a gummy or as a supplement, like you're just kind of wrecking your natural melatonin release. Melatonin's made in both the mitochondria and by the pineal gland, secreted in the absence of light. But what was your, and even if you're not a melatonin expert, but
Right.
what was your experience with melatonin and what do you see? Because we haven't really discussed this on the podcast. And I think people get really confused. And I know my daughter, who's now 22, and she was like 9, 10, 11, she had really bad sleep. Like she just all of a sudden, it was like a switch went off. She wouldn't go to sleep at night. And she just,
Right.
it was awful. And we talked to the pediatrician, and that was her solution for us. Well, give her melatonin, get her on the sleep
Right.
app.
Right.
And innately, like I didn't know anything that I know now, but innately I'm like, I don't want to put her on melatonin. Like there's a reason she's not sleeping. So talk to us about your experience with that.
So, the first thing to understand about melatonin is that your body and brain produce it naturally. It's what is required for your body to go to sleep, which is why you need 100% blackout, which is why you probably are craving the sleep mask. If your brain has 100% darkness, it will signal your body to create melatonin, which is what puts you to sleep. Caveat, I'm not a doctor, but um, staying asleep is the bigger issue, right? So people will, just like they'll keep using lip balm when their lips are dry, they'll get very used to using melatonin and they'll say, oh, if I take it, regularly, I will sleep longer. Or if I take more, I'll sleep longer. But that's not really how melatonin works. It helps you fall asleep. Your circadian rhythm and your REM sleep are really what keep you asleep. And that's challenging too. It's different for everybody. So really, and I tried it too. I tried melatonin because my issue actually isn't falling asleep, it's staying asleep. And I was confused also. So after a while, it didn't work for me anymore. So that was about the time that Lori and I got together too. I'm like, it's so, this is serendipitous because I've been taking melatonin and doing all this stuff. And I really I don't drink a lot, not on principle, just because I don't have a great tolerance. It's just not what my body does. So anything I take has a huge effect on me. So when the melatonin started like wearing off and I really couldn't, I was waking up in the middle of the night every night. It was probably a perfect storm of my body getting used to the melatonin, my hormones kicking in. I have a stressful life like everybody else. That's when I was like, I need to kind of do something else and realized that the melatonin, and you mentioned, looking at your phone at night and completely not picking it up in the middle of the night to signal my brain to wake back up. That's what really started helping me.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about those 3 a.m. or the middle of
Yeah.
the night wake ups,
Yeah.
because that is so hugely problematic with women, especially our age, like going through perimenopause and menopause and having the stressful life. And I went through it myself. Like in 2024, I lost both my parents. My nervous system was just high. Like I was cranking out all this content. I was running all these courses and seeing tons of clients. And I was waking up at between 3 and 4 almost every single day or every morning. And I would say at least half the time I was not able to go back to sleep. And you just lay there and you're like, you want to be asleep. And now I kind of know like the main issues that I was having. But there's so many women who are getting those 3 a.m. wake ups. And I have a free guide on my website about this. And whenever I put out content about this, it's like, oh my gosh, like people are just so drawn to it because it's so problematic. So you talked a little bit about, what's kind of leading up to that, but talk to us, a little bit more in depth, like why that's happening and
Yeah.
what are some solutions to get past that, especially if people don't want to take, they don't want to be sedated, they don't want to take medication, and they don't want to be like hooked on something.
Right. I mean, the why it's happening is different for everybody, right? It could be medical reason. It could just be the way your circadian rhythm is working and you're waking up at night. But the main reasons that people wake up at night that are widely published, by the way, by American Medical Association and the National Sleep Foundation are your body gets hot. So, you'll wake up then, which naturally happens as your circadian rhythm rises and falls, so does your sleep temperature. And really that's what wakes you up in the morning too. And we'll talk about our sleep mask later, but that's one of the properties of the inactivator sleep mask is that it has a temperature regulation phase change material that will help regulate your phase temperature. It will help you sleep a little bit longer. The worst thing you can do when you wake up in the middle of the night is to look at your phone or turn on a screen, particularly if it's an LED screen with blue light. What happens is you think you're just taking a quick peek and going back to sleep, but realistically, and what really happens is your brain actually thinks the light is still on for at least 30 more minutes. So the lights actually kind of think about it as like kind of bouncing around in your brain. Your brain is already up and it thinks the light is on, particularly again with blue light. Thinks it's on for like a 30 more minutes. So you really are now, your brain is fully awake, which is why likely your mind will start racing. You start thinking about what you have to do the next day. Did I let the dog out? I've got carpool in the morning. And that's really what happens. So that's another reason why we were like, oh, if I'm not taking melatonin, what can I do? For me, it was the sleep mask, particularly when I travel, because it also encourages me not to look at my phone.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first thing I
So
want to
yeah, so the 30, I have not heard that before, like the 30-minute, like your brain thinks it's, so is that even like even just a few seconds of light? Like when I get up in the middle of the night, I try really hard not to turn on any lights.
do.
Um, and sometimes that doesn't always work, but I have like a little reading clip light that has red light only in it that I'll like put on only if absolutely
Yeah.
necessary. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, am I gonna trip on my dog? But so even if it's like 30 seconds, like a couple, yeah.
Particularly with LED or blue light, and it depends on how your own brain works. But studies show that yes, your brain will think that the light is still on for around 30. It takes that long for it to shut back down.
Got you. Okay. I know
Yeah.
because I'm 49, but I still get like a regular menstrual cycle. That's like the only time I would have to like you
Yeah.
have to turn the light on and see what's going on that time
Yeah.
month.
Agreed. Me too. I went through menopause really late. And so same thing. It was just, I would wake up in the middle of the night and wonder.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, that's good to know. So definitely we want to stay. And I know people who are like, oh, well, I'll just like play a few games of solitaire if I can't go back to sleep. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
It's your first impulse. It's my first impulse too. And I really had to train myself. Do not
Yes.
look at the light. Do not, get on my phone, particularly getting on your phone. I mean, listen, if you have to get up and use the restroom or get a drink of water, I was going to say that's the third, one of the, not the third reason, another reason is being dehydrated. Your body will also sort of signal. So you'll wake up thirsty. You'll say, I'm drinking a lot of water right now.
Yeah.
So that's another reason too. So, keep a glass of water by your bed.
Yes, yes. And definitely the temperature changes play a
Yes.
role too. And much deeper sleep, like it's summer, right? It's in the middle of summer right now. And I know for me, like I'm kind of stubborn about this. Like I'd much rather have my windows open at night than have the air
Yeah.
conditioning on. But sometimes I'm like I should just turn the air.
Yeah. Well,
Like it's
particularly where you are, I bet, when it's cool at night, it's beautiful.
yeah, yeah, right now. Couple months
Now it's
ago
all for
from
everybody.
here, not so much, but yes, right now it definitely it's gorgeous out. But yeah, so okay, so definitely stay away from the screens if you
Yes.
do get up at night. And that's what it has always been for me. It's just like, and I have found too, if I look at the clock and know what time it is, that's a huge problem. Like because
Mhm.
if I say wake up at 1 a.m., go to the bathroom, I will just go back to sleep. But if I know in my head it's that 3 to 4 a.m. mark, I'm like,
Yes.
oh, am I going to go back to sleep?
I know. Then you start now, and then you start stressing. Am I going to get enough sleep? No. Do I have to wake up in 2 hours? And if you have to get up and catch an early flight, yes, we've all been there, and it just stresses you out more.
Yes, that anticipate. I think I've heard it's called like the anticipatory wake up time or whatever it is that you're anticipating that you have to get up. So yeah, like I just like turn my clock away.
Correct.
And it's like, and I have an alarm set, but it almost never goes off. It goes off maybe twice a month because I just wake up naturally, but I have it there just in case. But I found that just turning my clock away completely is helpful. So, all right. So let's tie in like daily light exposure and how important that is, because we've talked a lot more about that on the podcast. And I've gone through my own cortisol dysregulation and adrenal fatigue and all of that. And I was so wired for so many months that I was getting high morning blood sugars. Like my cortisol regulation
Yeah.
was really not
Me
in
too.
balance at all. So talk about the daylight exposure and how important that is for helping us to fall asleep and stay asleep at night.
Yes. So again, listen, there's a reason why we naturally get tired at night and wake up in the morning. I mean, we were born that way, right? It's in our DNA that goes way back to our ancestors before they had alarm clocks and smartphones to be able to wake us up. And it's why the world sort of works the way it does. But the experts will tell you to try to get at least 20 to 30 minutes exposure of natural light as soon as you wake up. And that actually helps to reset your circadian rhythm, and it gives the signal, as well as your body temperature rising, to go ahead and wake up. And it really starts your day off right. Personally, I was like you. I was sort of jumping out of bed, having that first cup of coffee, just like kickstarting my day. And also my cortisol levels were just spiking, which caused all kinds of other issues, so the weight in the middle, the stressing, the sweating. That cortisol is really your biggest enemy, particularly when you start to get a little older. And so I started, okay, I'm gonna after I take off my sleep mask, I'm gonna let myself get 20 to 30 minutes of sleep. So I sort of like journal in my bed, or that's when allow myself to check my emails and everything first thing in the morning, and have that glass of water. And it really did make a difference for me. I feel like I'm at some holistic retreat or something, but it really is true. And it's because that's how your body's naturally hardwired to work. You got to go with it.
Yeah, that was huge for me. Like I worked on the nighttime routine and blocking
Mhm.
the blue light, wearing the glasses, all of that. But I knew like something needed to change. I changed my meal timing as well to align more with my circadian rhythm. But I made the decision, like I can call my own shots because I run my own business, and I'm like, I'm starting work an hour later than what I've been doing. And this isn't an act of laziness or I don't want to accomplish. Like I just need my mornings to be quieter, and I need to be outside more. I need that daytime light. I need to pray. I need to spend time with God. Like I need to start my mornings in a calm way. And I wear an aura ring too. And like every morning it just be like, whoop, like up into the stress zone within that first hour. And that changed a lot of things for me, and it helped with sleep regulation. And another thing that I've talked to some of my clients about, especially women who are like up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, get the bright light, like they're getting that bright light in their eyes, like before the sunrise is even up. That is called a phase shift. And that was huge for me too. Like I only went to strength training at the gym a couple of times a week, but I would get there at like 5:15 in the morning, and under those bright, hideous fluorescent lights, and it was phase shifting my sleep. So my body thought, oh my gosh, it's like midday. It was only 5:30 in the morning, but my body thought this is midday. We better wake up earlier tomorrow. And and I know not everybody has this luxury, but I've shifted. I go to a later class now, like a little bit
Ew.
later in the morning, has made a drastic and just again that anticipatory, like I gotta get up at 5 o'clock in the
I
morning.
know. I also find that when at the later classes, whether it's later in the day or even early evening, my performance in the classes are
Yeah.
better. Or if I'm playing a tennis match, my performance is better than just like shooting out of bed and I'm not really ready. And
Yes. Yeah, the only advantage to that 5:30 a.m. is like I felt like I was still like not
Yeah,
even half with it. So you're kind of like, okay, half the class is done and I don't even know what I did yet. But
it's all a blur.
but you also like I didn't feel as strong. I didn't feel you like you're not as hydrated.
Right.
Yeah, it just was more of a struggle to get through the class and more of a struggle to recuperate and heal afterward too. Like I felt like there was a lot more soreness when I was going to those early morning classes. So okay, so let's talk about the sleep mask and how it changed things for you because there's a lot we have to do a lot of foundational things like we were talking about, like getting our circadian rhythm aligned, and we can talk a little bit about eating late at night too and how that can really damper our sleep and we're putting our body in a place of digestion instead of rest. But how did you come up with the concept well, tell us about your sleep mask and how you came up with the concept of it.
So it was really my business partner Lori's idea. She had been looking at sleep, like I mentioned before. We had worked together and we had built many products for Spanx and all the different companies that we worked for, and we decided how can we re-engineer. But before we even started working on the sleep mask, we knew that we wanted our company to be focused on sleep performance, which is why we call ourselves a sleep performance company. For us, there are a lot of sleep companies out there and there are amazing products out there, but they really are all focused mostly on resting, going to sleep. We know from our own personal experiences that we've been talking about, you have to sleep to get up to perform. So we sort of wanted to turn it on its head and say, how do we help our community, other women, athletes, understand that sleep is actually one of the key human performance factors. It's not just about shutting down. Your body's working out while you're sleeping. You're getting recovery, you're getting cellular regeneration, you're getting your mind, is rejuvenating itself. Your pulmonary system has the opportunity to breathe and pump new blood into all of your organs. So your body's actually working really hard. And so that's where we started, and then said any product that we design is going to have those tenets. It needs to be able to make you sleep better for longer, and understanding the science and working with partners like Emory University Sleep Clinic and some of the professional sports teams that we worked with and researched with to say you need 100% blackout to produce melatonin, like we talked about earlier. It would be great to have an optimal sleep temperature, which is different for everybody, but the range is 65 degrees to 72 degrees. While the mask doesn't do that, we did incorporate a phase change material that will help regulate your face temperature, which keeps you from overheating. So that's incorporated, and that's one of the elements of the patent on our mask because it is patented. Then comfort, because we worked for Spanx and understood that, we actually have a self-stretch elastic so that there's no hardware. If you're a side sleeper, if you're a back sleeper, we had women who were like, I need to put my hair up at night. We work with NFL players who have, larger heads and braids, and they needed to be able to do that. So the self-adjusting strap was the other key, because comfort is another reason why you may or may wake up in the middle of the night. And then we also designed it so that the eye orbitals, or the opening in the eyes, were larger so that you could open your eyes at night, whether you have long lashes, it doesn't bother you, or even if you're one of those people who, sort of starts in their sleep and wakes up, it doesn't frighten you. There's no pressure on your eyeballs if you wear inactivators. And then it looks super cool. It looks
Yeah.
like theater sunglasses, which is why we called it inactivators.
Yes. And I know like everybody's different with that pressure. Some of the sleep masks deliberately put pressure like between the eyes. But I, for one, like I don't love that pressure. Like some people think that that's soothing, but I would prefer not to not to have that pressure, like you said, and be able to feel like you can open your eyes and it's like you can pop it off easily and but it's still like completely blackout. Cause I don't wear mine I will put it on if I wake up, like the sun is literally coming up like 5:10 a.m. right now, and daybreak is like 4:45 a.m. for Wisconsin, right? Like where I am in Wisconsin. So sometimes I'm still, using it in the early morning, but it's mostly for travel. So, okay. So lots of great snippets in there. And I know you and Lori have the Sleep 7 playbook. And I think there was some information on your website about that, but is there anything in there that we didn't like hit on or touch on that you want people to be aware of when it comes to their sleep?
So it really follows CBIT, which is, cognitive behavioral training. So it's the 7 steps for success. It's the 7 steps for, better behavior. We really adapted it, the 7 steps for sleep, and it's about setting your own sleep routine, your own sleep hygiene. We call it a sleep warm up. So, for example, when you talked about earlier that you set your alarm, one of our very first step, number one, we call it go long. It's a sports analogy, but it's like if you set that alarm for at least 7 hours and don't look at your clock, that's step number one. And that's taking, really trying to get your own sleep routine down. Everyone's going to have a different one because of their comfort level, but things like make sure that your bed is a place that's a little bit sacred. It's for sleep. It's really not for eating and working and having family meetings, which I'm totally guilty of. But it's almost like a Pavlovian effect, right? You set your alarm, you put your sleep mask on, you clear your bed, your mind will start to help to signal you to fall asleep.
Sure, sure. And I've been really trying to learn as much as I can. Like I know a lot about what happens hormonally when we sleep and how the brain is draining and detoxifying, and people don't realize that the brain has its own like detoxification routing lymphatic system instead of the lymphatic system. But I've also been trying to do a little bit more research and reading on HGH or human growth hormone, because I don't feel like it's talked about that much in the sleep space. And it's really interesting to look at this hormone because it's mainly secreted during deep sleep between, for most people, the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And, there's tons and tons of studies that show that those who are working shift work, second and third shifts, their circadian rhythm is more disruptive. They tend to have a lot more metabolic issues. They have higher blood sugar. They're more prone to diabetes and cancer and high blood pressure and heart disease because of these circadian disruptions. But tell us what you know about human growth hormone. And because I just find it very fascinating that people who do tend to go to sleep earlier tend to have a lot less chronic disease and a lot better circadian rhythm.
I mean, I'm not an expert on growth hormones by any stretch of the imagination, but sleep really has become an important conversation in total health and wellness for a number of reasons. That's one of them. It just helps your body adjust and produce all of the, get more used to the natural hormone changes that your body goes through at any age. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, I actually chaired American Heart Association's Go Red for Women. And at that time, they had what they called the 7 steps for better health, and it was all about diet and exercise. 2 years ago, they actually changed that to be the essential 8, where sleep is number one, essential that you need. And they actually cite the types of things that you were talking about. Your deep sleep helps you sort of regenerate that, regulate your hormones, and sort of reset your body to be able to produce all of the minerals, materials, and absorb and then secrete what is bad. So, that's really why sleep is so important, to be able to address all of those things that you talk about.
Yes. And human growth hormone, from what I understand, is just, it's so powerful for
Correct.
healing. And especially if you have chronic disease,
Mhm.
it's just helping with healing. And like, if you did do a hard workout or you got a ton of activity, and where we get that sleep pressure build up a lot quicker when you are very active, as
That's
you
right.
build up the adenosine throughout the day, and that just like helps you to fall asleep as well. So
Correct.
sometimes I feel like people forget that, like they're working in an office or sitting most of the day, and maybe they get a half an hour walk here or there, but they're not getting that sleep pressure build up because of the activity levels too. So really important, I feel like, to remember that even if you're doing all the circadian things and you're wearing the blue light blocking glasses and you're going to bed at the same time and you have a cool temperature in your home, you're doing all the things, but you're not real active during the day. That's another thing.
Right. You know, one of the most important things to remember about sleep, and we say this all the time, sleep is the only human performance factor element that you can't buy, cheat, fake, or steal.
Yeah.
Like you can't take a pill for sleep. You really can't make it up. You know, there's this a ton of information on like sleep hoarding, they call it. Or you know, trying to make up for your sleep later. That doesn't completely work that way. There are differing studies on naps and talking about how whether they're good for you or not, and what's the optimal time for you to nap, you know, between 20 and
Yeah.
30 minutes and no longer. And that can also be productive. But really, you just can't replace sleep with anything else. There's nothing you can do that actually replaces sleep. You cannot drink a tonic for it. You cannot take a pill for it. There's no app for it.
No hack.
Right. So your body, it's again, it's just how we're wired and how we were built. Your body must sleep.
Yeah. And I think like just again, the time frame of perimenopause and menopause can be such a transitional time. Is there anything that you wanted to add to like the hormone, the decrease in the hormone as we age that we didn't already talk about, and like anything else that the sleep mask addresses with that?
I think it directly addresses, you know, the hot flashes and, you know, just you're feeling more hot heat in general. Sorry, dog number two. Um, so, you know, that's really why we wanted to integrate the phase change material and the temperature regulation, because that was also one of the number one complaints that we heard, not just from women, but also from, you know, professional athletes and elite athletes or people who are very much into health and wellness. They like, what can I do, you know, to keep myself cooler at night? And it's often not about cooling, it's about regulating. So making sure that your temperatures and the hormones, well, and when they kick in, they absolutely make you feel like you're on fire. So if the phase change material can actually help regulate your phase temperature, you can sleep 20 to 30 minutes longer.
Which is huge. I mean, when
That
we
is
think
huge.
about like 20 to 30 minutes,
Mhm.
and it might not sound like a lot, but it could be, probably more REM sleep for sure, because REM sleep is in the early morning hours. So getting 20 more, like I usually sleep between 2 to 2.5 hours of REM sleep, but 20 to 30 minutes, even if it's light sleep, like
Mhm.
that plays a huge role with memory and, memory production and healing and just so many things. Yeah. And then you can avoid that 20 to 30 minute nap later.
Correct.
So it cools it. So does it help to warm it? Like if you're cold when you're falling asleep and then cool it, or is it more of a cooling mechanism?
It's neither. It's really temperature regulating.
Okay.
It is called phase change material. It's actually used across multiple industries. NASA uses it in the space shuttle. It's used in tennis rackets. Think of it like, this is analogous, like a wicking material for heat, but you can't see it. So if the heat will evaporate from your face, then you're regulating your face temperature.
Sure. So
That,
yeah,
that's
so
kind of how it works.
it's kind of like your body's sweating, but it's not really sweating.
Right.
Got you. Okay. Um, okay, I think we talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. Was there anything else? So if somebody is struggling with their sleep and they feel like they've tried like all the things, like you were talking about it in the beginning of the podcast and the beginning of the interview, like what is the one thing that you would say, like, okay, this is, if you haven't tried this, try this first, kind of thing?
So first, I would say if you haven't tried a sleep mask, try inactivators. Only because 90% of people have not ever tried a sleep mask. And in
Yeah.
full disclosure, I don't wear mine every night. I wear it when I travel and I wear it when I, you know, have a super hard work week or really know that I need to stay asleep. The other thing that I would say is the tried and true approaches of diet, exercise, and hydration are key. You know, everything in moderation. I sleep much better when I have a better work-life balance, when I'm able to work out every day, when I feel like I'm eating better. And I am not a hardcore, I only stick to this diet or that diet, or don't do this or don't do that. What works for me is like what makes me feel good. And so
Yeah.
what I'm drawn to. And so if I feel like I'm eating well and I'm getting some exercise in, I actually do sleep a lot better.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I was astounded, like now that I've like dialed in more of the circadian rhythm pieces. Like I used to struggle a lot when I did travel. And I think a lot of it was just being in hotel rooms or rentals with more harsh lighting, and I didn't have a sleep mask and just like not having the routine. But like even in the airplane, like both of our flights were late, like it was 9 p.m. when we were leaving. I'm like, I'm putting my blue light blocking glasses on. I don't care who's laughing or like, I don't care. I'm the only person on this whole airplane and hundreds of people with these on. But I don't like the harsh lighting. And I have found like now that I've done these approaches, I use the sleep mask when I travel. I have my glasses, like I don't struggle to sleep. Like that would be one of those things. And then yes, you get stressed out thinking about it. Oh, I'm traveling, I'm not going to sleep as well. But um they've really been game changing for travel. And of course, it depends on like how many time zones you're changing. If
Right.
you're in west or
Right.
east, like it's easier to go west than it is east. But you know,
Mm.
all of those factors definitely play a role. Okay, so one thing I thought of while you were talking about the mask, would you recommend, does it make a difference like if you start with it on right away when you're falling asleep, or you know putting it on kind of in those early morning hours? Is there any difference as to when to start with it?
Absolutely, you should put it on to help you fall asleep because
Okay.
again, the properties of inactivators and how we built it, you need 100% blackout in order for your brain to signal melatonin production. So you want that help. Also want to be able to make sure it's comfortable so that it's sleeping through the night. So ours is, you know, customizable and adjustable to your face size. So if you press it in, it'll help you fall asleep quicker. And also, again, it's a signal like that CBI and Pavlovian effect. Like I keep mine by my bedside, so it's sort of immediately I'm like, oh, it's time to go to sleep. You know, you can
Yeah.
feel like your shoulders drop. You know, you feel like you let out a deep breath. Like it's also a signal to help you fall asleep as well. It's a little bit subconscious.
Oh, for sure. Like just the mental part of it
Yeah,
and part of your routine for
it's
sure.
safe. It's part of your safe space.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So, in closing, tell us where we can find more about this, where you're located, and then anything that you have on the horizon that you want us to know about.
So you can absolutely find inactivators and the Sleep 7 playbook at our website, inactiveco.com. And for your listeners, if they would like to purchase one, if I'm allowed to do this, if they
Yes.
if they use the code SLEEP25, they'll actually get 25% off their entire purchase plus free shipping.
Awesome. Okay, so
On
25% off free shipping. We'll put that in the show notes for sure.
And
Okay.
then on the horizon, we're actually in prototype right now for some exciting new, what we're calling inactive wear, which is performance sleep wear that we're testing right now that would have the same tenets and properties of the sleep mask. So 100% blackout, we're working with far infrared technology to help, again, cellular regeneration and circulation. So we're really excited about that.
Yes. Well,
Not available yet, but
I will be your guinea pig when it comes out.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's because the sleep mask is great and it's a really good start and pretty inexpensive if you're having sleep issues for you to try. Okay, so inactiveco.com, use code sleep25 for 25% off plus free shipping. Well, thanks for coming on today.
For having me.
Well, maybe we'll have to have you back when Lori's able to join us, but
Sorry about that. Yes.
I'm so happy you could talk to us more about sleep and as we just really start to become aware of how important it is and how much better life transitions and stress resilience and everything is when we have it. It was very nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Love your podcast.